Well, hi there, you two.
Hi.
I'm so excited to see you, and I'm so excited to introduce you to the world. Why don't you tell us about yourself? Tell me your names, what business you're in. I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Okay, I'm Sherman, and this is my lovely wife, Semise. And we are marriage coaches. What we do is we help couples strengthen, restore, strengthen, and fortify their marriages.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
started our marriage coaching business in 2022, and it's called Marriage Restoration Ministries.
yeah. And kind of our story, why we are passionate about what we do right now is several years ago, we got married, and she was God's answer to me as I prayed about what I wanted in a wife, and I was happy, and she came with everything I wanted. I'm like, yes, Lord. Okay. And on her hand,
So my end, same thing. Sherman checked all the bells and whistles. Just to give you a little backstory, we had been married before to other people. We had long-standing marriages to other people. Sherman had been married about 20 years, and I had been married about the same. Christian marriages, ministry marriages, but unfortunately still found ourselves divorced, which was devastating.
yeah,
But when Sherman and I met, he had been divorced for 7 years and I had been divorced for 10. And so we felt like, okay, second go around, we got this, we're more mature. We've been walking with the Lord all this time still. And so, um, me doing my single woman work, had developed, okay, this is what I'm looking for, Lord. When you send it, I'll know what I'm looking for because this is what you placed in my heart. So made my list. And here comes Sherman. And he is everything on that list and then some. So, like you said, we get married. Well, life happens,
3.5 years later.
relationships happen, and 3.5 years later, we are divorced.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, what just happened? What is going on? So that, let's see, after being divorced that long, we both consented to trying to reconcile and getting counseling, and that was just, it was non-negotiable. We needed to have help. If we were going to make this work, we needed outside assistance.
Yeah. So anyway, we found a good counselor.
We found an excellent counselor.
He'd been
he
at it for many
Yes.
years, over 30 years, in Christian counseling, new stuff.
Yeah.
And we started working with him, which was awesome. And I'll let you tell this part because you didn't like this part.
I didn't like this part. So we met with him, right? He checked all the boxes. He was Christian, he was experienced, he was a psychiatrist. He had been coaching and counseling married couples for over 2 decades. So we're like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. If we're gonna make this work, he's gonna be the one that's gonna help us, right? He's gonna do it for us. So we meet with him, and this was right around the time of the pandemic. So everything's on Zoom. We meet with him on Zoom, and he listens to our story, and he tells us, Sherman and Semise, most people who have been divorced and living apart as long as you have about a 1% chance of making it. Yeah. 1%, Dr. JJ. Not 40, not 30, not 20, not 10. The man said 1% chance, and my heart sank
Wow.
because I was, optimistic. Okay, maybe we can make this work. And he drops that bomb. But Sherman So he tells us that, and I keep my smile, and we get off the call, and do our pleasantries, and then I call Sherman because we're in separate places, we're living separate, right? And I said, I don't like him. I don't think he's the one for us. He's not gonna, I don't think he's the right fit. And Sherman said, well, I see it in a different way. He said, what I hear is if we're going to make it, it's going to be work. And it's going to be work on our part and not his. And so that's really what started our journey to restoration. It started our learning. I mean, he took us through over a year. And even after we remarried, we stayed with him because there was a lot of learning we needed to do, right? There was a lot of restoring, a lot of healing, not a lot of knowledge, not a lot of practical things that we needed to do.
And in that process time, the Lord started showing me that I remember when I was there. In the world, you hear very little encouragement when you're struggling in your relationship. Typically, it's not, well, I'll just get rid of her or get rid of him. You know, um, you better off. It's all these. Suppose they think they're consoling you, but they're really just making you more depressed. There wasn't a lot of hope. But the Lord started showing me since we restore us, and I started learning, we have all the answers. It's all here. People just don't know. There's nobody out there telling you it's fixable. And actually, it's harder, to go through a divorce than to fix it. And most people don't know that. When you're in the pain of the moment, you want the pain to go away and you think it's easy, but it's not. I mean, nothing that I've found so far has been making divorce any better. It just, we think it is. And at the time, it may feel that way, but in the grand scheme of things, it was a lot easier just to solve the problem.
Yeah, to work on it.
Yeah, but most people don't know that, and you're not hearing it said. One of the things that we like to encourage people to understand, look, it's fixable. Here's the thing, though. You got to want to fix it because it's not going to happen by itself. You got to want to change in order to make the relationship work. But that's the thing that kind of motivates us because we saw a lot of people hurting, no hope, and Lord kind of showed us like, here's an opportunity you can help a lot of people, especially in the church. We don't have any reason in the church. We have the Bible, it's got all the guidelines in there, but we don't, the challenges we don't know how to apply.
Right.
And that's what we saw. We need practical, actionable steps that people need to know to apply to help them. So that's kind of like the big motivation behind what we do.
So let me ask you again. Now tell me again, what is the name of your business?
Marriage Restoration Ministry.
Okay, so now we listen
Our website is restoredmarriages.com. Well, go ahead.
Okay, so what I heard is that you guys did the work and then you decided to get married. What inspired you to get starting to help other people? Because now you pulled it together for yourselves. What made you wake up one morning and go, you know what, we need to do this for others?
We kind of gradually got into it. We were in a
Say the Lord.
Yeah. He's really the one something
you'll explain what I mean by that.
And there's something I didn't tell you. When we were separated, I went to the Lord. It's like, Lord, what do I do? It's like, and what I heard was you need to learn to understand your wife. So part of the learning process is me learning to understand relationships, how we work together. I understand her needs, which is different than my needs, and all of that. And, in our world, you hear them say men can't understand women. And then on the other side, you hear women understand men. And women don't understand men because we don't think like women. And men can understand women. And the mantra is telling you can't.
You have to
So you got two lies going. Which means you never get to the truth. The truth is, men, you can understand your wives. You're just going to have to take the effort and the time to do it. And ladies, there's a lot about him you have no clues about.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a learning process. So going through all of that and what we were learning, more things I was learning. Then I learned about Gottman. Gottman is a Gottman Institute, where they've studied couples for over 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
They have the blueprint. Do these things and you have a successful marriage.
So how do you do these things? What's some of the processes that you use?
Well, he has a book. There's 7 principles to make marriage work, but they're all biblical principles.
They really are. And
They're all things.
this is totally research
Yeah.
driven, research validated. Not biblical. But guess what? When we start looking into that, these are biblical principles. So we learned it for ourselves. We started learning for ourselves, and then we placed ourselves in community with other Christian marriages. Then we were asked to lead the group of the community we were in. So we're like, oh, okay. And so we start leading the group. And then we were asked, would we serve on our ministry team at our church? We're like, oh, okay. And then we found the opportunity to learn how to be coaches. And we're like, oh, okay.
So it kind of just gradually.
Then, you know, Dr. JJ, Sherman's an entrepreneur. Sherman is building businesses for other people. And then Sherman hears, build your coaching business with your wife. And Sherman's like, oh, okay. And then I learned about, okay, there's certification in this. Yeah. There's ways to show that, this isn't just a hobby. This is a science pretty much. And so we got certified. And so that's kind of the process that we've gone through. And we started the business, we incorporated in 2022. And we coach couples. We get coached, we're still coached. And this all brings to my mind the scripture that says our people perish for the lack of knowledge, right? And so we had to learn, and then we realized we learned what we didn't know, right? We learned what we didn't know. We thought we knew, but you don't know what you don't know until you start learning. Yeah. And so that's where this kind of evolved.
And the reality is a lot of marriages are struggling because they're struggling over things that isn't difficult to solve.
It doesn't have to break the marriage.
Right, but they just don't know. And the thing about when you think you know something, you don't go looking.
Right. You don't realize you don't know.
Yeah, you don't realize what you don't know. And they aren't teaching you in school how to communicate effectively.
Yeah.
How to communicate your needs.
Yeah.
How to love each other.
Yeah.
People are doing what they saw their parents or friends around them do.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, what they saw their parents and friends did, they didn't like it. Mm. But when you get in a crunch, you're going to default to what you grew up with.
Right.
And those habits, if they're not healthy, you're going to cause problems. And nowadays, we've got so much dysfunction, and you don't know that when you meet someone. You don't find out until you're committed, you're with them 24/7.
And they're in your face.
Yeah, you've seen all these things that you never saw. Yeah. And if you aren't equipped or taught how to address it, you got a huge fight.
It's going to break it. And I think you said this a few minutes ago. I know we say this a lot, but people want the pain to stop. Yeah. And, going through challenges in your relationship and hurtful times, and it's painful. And so we fell prey to that. We think, okay, well, if I just get a divorce, my pain's going to stop.
It didn't stop.
It's going to make it go away.
Didn't go away.
Well, it just, it evolves into something else.
Yeah.
A lot of times. And
Let me ask you this. Do you only work with couples that are in trouble, or do you work with couples that are getting ready to get married?
Either.
well,
It does.
we don't couples that are getting ready to get married. we haven't ventured into the premarital.
Well, actually, we've chosen not to go.
We've chosen not to. We focus on married and not just those in trouble though. Those that are every marriage is going to have challenges. Every marriage is going to have struggles. Most marriages don't make it out of the struggle. And so that's where we like to help. But it doesn't have to be when they're ready to go call a lawyer. Please don't wait till then. We have walked with couples kind of like married for just a couple of months, just married. We've got one couple, when we first met them, when we don't coach them, but when we first met them, started walking with them after they had been married for 2 weeks. And just them being in community. We met with them. They've been married now going on 2 years, a year.
Yeah. 2 years.
But they shared, if we hadn't been in community and learning the things that we teach our principles to our group. We have a group in our church. So they were learning this, and they shared with us, if we hadn't been exposed to the things that we taught them, they don't feel like they would have made it through a lot. And it's, how to communicate,
it's now I'll share a little bit about how we work. A lot of it has to do with our mindsets. Everything starts with, who you're being, and it comes up into what you do, and you get what you do.
What do we believe?
Yeah. And there is a process that we use that addresses all three. But a lot of the things that people need to deal with is how you see your relationship, how you think about it. For example, we had a lot of conflicts, and we had to learn conflicts aren't designed to tear you apart. Conflicts show you, it's an indicator of where you're disconnected in your relationship. When you begin to look at conflicts that way, then it doesn't really, it's not adversarial. It's not something that rip you up. It's something that shows, okay, we got to work on this. We need to find a common ground. And the minute you find a common ground, the conflict goes away. Because I'm thinking one thing, she's thinking something else, and we're trying to get it done, but I'm thinking it needs to be that way. She's thinking it needs to be that. And, so now there's turmoil because there's no unity on what's going on.
There's this power struggle.
Yeah.
Right. And but James tells us in the Bible,
James 1 verses 2 to 4.
Yeah. Count it all joy when conflicts come. And so that's
trials, yeah.
Trials, conflicts, adversities. And that's one of the first scriptures that we help unpack for couples, is that, like Sherman said, conflicts aren't the God that has not designed the conflicts, or doesn't allow the conflicts really to break us. They're to show us what needs to be done. And I love the ending of that verse. James tells us that it's designed to make us more mature, to lacking nothing, complete, whole. Who doesn't want that, in themselves, and especially in a relationship, and then especially in your marriage relationship. So we help couples to get through the conflicts in a way that it brings them closer together and not draws them apart. Uh-oh, you're muted. There you
So
go.
on that note, what should listeners do next? This is probably hitting some people.
Yeah.
So what should they do next?
They can reach out to us. We're on Facebook. We have a group, Redeem Your Marriage, on Facebook. They're welcome to connect with us there. But go to our website. It's restored marriages with a s.com, and they can connect with us there. We give free consultation, free call. They can connect, we can talk. If we can help you to be a blessing in any way, we're willing to do that. You can also ask questions on there. We have a conflict guide you're welcome to download. But that is restoredmarriages.com again. And we'll probably drop a link in below. You can DM us online, Sherman Daily or Semise Daily. You can DM us on Facebook, and we'll gladly help or connect in any way we can.
And if you're local in the San Diego area, we hold workshops every second Sunday in La Mesa, California. And that information is on our website as well.
Yeah, go to the website and you can sign up and be part of that.
So what kind of last thoughts do you want to leave the listeners?
Bye. So, do you want to pause it for a second?
Mm-hmm. So you're asking what do we want to leave people with? And for most men, I'm gonna speak to the men. A lot of times, the wives are the one who wants to fix the problem, right? Because actually, I mean, 70% of the divorce are initiated by the women because they obviously get tired of dealing with us and we aren't addressing the issues. But for one of the big things that I think hold men back is the feeling that they're gonna go to the session and they're gonna be blamed for, the problem, or they're gonna be teamed up on. Okay. And now I'll be honest, that was one of the things that I struggle with, because we talk, and she'll tell you that she was asking for us to go get coaching, right? And what I was hearing was, we need to go get counseling to fix me.
Oh.
Right? And so who wants to sign up to go get fixed? Nobody wants to do that.
And you said that was a previous experience that you had with getting
well,
help.
no, it wasn't. No, that wasn't previous. It was
As
what I
well.
was hearing in our conversation when she was asking for help. Well, all I'm hearing is, okay,
What's wrong with Sherman?
We got to go fix what's wrong with Sherman. Obviously, all those requests will always come up when there was something that, she was finding an issue in me. So what I'm hearing is, okay, not that we're going to go fix us. We're going to go fix me.
Right.
Right. And I remember it specifically the day when she says, I need help. We need to go because I need help to deal with this. And I'm like, okay, that's it. It's not about fixing me. It's about getting help. Okay. But I say that because a lot of people struggle. 30-something% of couples that end in divorce, they didn't go get counseling or help.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's a large amount of people who fall prey to this. And a lot of men fall prey to it because they feel like they're the problem in the relationship and they're going to fix me, and it's not going to fix us. And I think that's one of the big things that hold people back. But here's the thing. You don't know what you don't know. Okay? You're not going to make it if you're not willing to seek help. And the problems that we have in relationship, they're all fixable. Here's the problem. You and your spouse don't know how to fix your problem. That's why you're having problems. But that doesn't mean it's not fixable.
Right.
All it means is you don't know how to fix it. And you got to get help. If you don't know how to do something in the regular world, if you don't know how to do something at work, what do? You go find someone who knows. But when it comes to our relationship that's so important to us,
we think we can wing it.
We think we can wing it. And I mean, we won't get help. We'd rather it fall apart than admit that we need help, which is not wise. So my parting ideas or suggestion that I leave with people, don't be afraid to ask. If you don't ask, you're never going to get the answers you need. What's your takeaway?
My takeaway, I mean, you said a lot, but to add to that, speaking to the women, it's not all your husband's fault. It's not just the husband, right? Ladies, we've got our own issues. We have to be ready to face them and be ready to come and seek help. But when you seek help, remember, just like Sherman said, it's not about, fixing him. It's fixing us. And so there are things in you and that need to be re-examined and helped. So it takes both. It takes change. Someone has to change, and that someone that has to change is me. That someone that has to change is just you. Don't wait for he's got to change. If once he changes, or I'm going to change him, he needs a change. No, I had to change. He has to change himself. Yeah, both of us need to change, but I'm not changing him and he can't change me. We have to both come to the table ready to say, here I am, help me change so that I can speak in a way that my husband can hear me. Not my husband can't hear me. No, learn how to speak in a way that your husband can hear you. And that's a process. It doesn't come natural. I had this revelation recently, and I hope this resonates. And not all women are the same, not all men are the same. But for the most part, I had this aha moment where, I feel like the Holy Spirit showing me that as women, we are really good at and find it easy, and it's instinctual rather actually to be a good mother for the most part. We know how to mother, we know how to nurture, but we are not good at being wives. That doesn't come instinctually. We want to mother our husbands. Our husbands don't need a mother. Our husbands need a wife. So we and I see this sometimes in couples that we're coaching. They're great mothers, and I give them all the accolades. I feel like I was a great mother and dealt what I could do with my kids, what I was dealt with as being a single mom, not growing in a very healthy family. But I did the best I could as a single mom. Instinct had to take in, right? And just knowing how to nurture my kids and help to, but that instinct doesn't kick in when it comes to my relationship with my husband. I had to learn how to speak to my husband in a way that he needed to be spoken to, not like my child, but like my husband, like the king of this house, the leader of this house, a partner. So that's so that's what I'm speaking to the women. If you want things to change, we're here to help with that.
And tell them one more time where to go to get to you.
Restored
Marriages.com.
Restoredmarriages.com. Somebody heard you today. Somebody heard you today, and somebody heard you enough to go tell somebody else today. And so, first of all, I want to tell somebody, thank you so much for, doing this and telling people about who you are and where you are and how they can get some help with their marriages. It's really, or relationships, anything.
Thank you, Dr. JJ.
You're welcome.